All right, our topic for discussion today is political parties and interest groups. Let's start off by talking about political parties and first get a definition for what a political party is. A political party is an organized group of people who share similar beliefs and who try to get their members elected to public office. So that's really a critical part there, that goal of getting members elected to public office. Because you've got to have people in public office in order to pass laws and do the things that you want to do. So what are the functions of political parties? What are some of the things that they do in order to achieve their goals, to get people elected into the government? One is they recruit candidates. They try to figure out, okay, who would be a great person to run for this office, whether it's the Senate or the House of Representatives or the state government, governor, state senator, or down to city council, mayor, right? The political parties have the jobs of recruiting people to fill all those positions. Once they've selected somebody to run for office, they then help support that person's campaign. So they will provide money and support for that person to get their thoughts and ideas out to the voters. They help inform and encourage voters. So certainly as the elections get closer, you start to see more and more advertisements on TV paid for by political parties. You start to see more signs out. Sometimes you'll get phone calls or somebody coming up to your door just encouraging you to get out and vote. Once political parties have people in office, they help to organize activities within legislatures. So, if the Republicans control a state capital, they will help organize what that state government's going to do. If the Democrats control the Congress, they're going to organize activities to try to get Congress to pass laws that they want. And they're going to serve as the loyal opposition to the party in power. So the political party that is in the minority has this very important role, where they are going to oppose what the majority party does so that voters know, hey, we don't agree with this. Here's what we think is a better option. Political parties are structured at every different level. So the Republican Party has a national organization. It has 50 different state organizations, and it has tons and tons of local level organizations that are all part of the big Republican Party. Same thing for the Democrats, right? They're going to be organized at the national, state, and local levels, which provides a lot of ways to get involved as well. So you don't have to think, well, I can only be involved with a political party if I'm like a bigwig. No, you can get involved at the local level. So political parties, let's talk a little bit about the beliefs of the political parties. Obviously, the ones that we most know about are the Republicans and the Democrats. But as you can see from the picture here, there are others. Libertarians, the Constitution, the Green Party, the modern-day Whig Party. There's lots of what are called third parties as well. So let's get into kind of what the beliefs are. And we'll focus on the two major ones. So the Democrats, start with the Democrats. They tend to support a strong national government, an active national government. Support government regulation of business. So that kind of goes hand in hand with the first one, right? The government should be active, should put some restrictions on the business in order to protect consumers, to protect the environment, for example. Democrats tend to favor tax cuts for the poor and higher taxes on the wealthy. Tend to oppose prayer in school and want to really enforce separation of church and state. Tend to support gun control laws. Tend to support abortion rights and tend to support minimum wage laws. Again, these are sort of basic beliefs. Doesn't mean every single Democrat fits every single one of these bullet points, but those are kind of the main areas of belief for the Democrats. As you might imagine, the Republicans are, in many ways, the opposite. Republicans support giving more power to the states and reducing the size of the national government. Republicans oppose regulation of business, favor lowering taxes across the board as a way to stimulate the economy, favor prayer in public schools, or at least not necessarily requiring it, but at least allowing it for those that want to. Republicans tend to oppose gun control laws and oppose abortion and oppose raising the minimum wage. So with most of these bullet points, you've got Republicans in a lot of ways opposite of the Democrats. Well, what about third parties? Third parties are the parties that are often formed by people who are frustrated with the two-party system. They don't feel that they fit with the Republicans. They don't feel that they fit with the Democrats. And third parties play an important role of allowing people to express their frustration with the two-party system in a constructive way. So third parties like the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, they can still run for offices. They don't often win because they don't have the money that the bigger groups do, but they can run for office, they can raise important issues and bring them to the attention of the major parties. So third parties play a pretty important role. Let's move on and talk about interest groups for just a minute here. Okay, and here's just a bunch of examples of interest groups. AARP, retired persons, National Organization of Women, the AFL-CIO is a trade union, the National Rifle Association, PETA, Environmental Defense Fund. And what these things all have in common is that they are organized groups who try to influence political parties and public policy, usually on one specific issue or group of issues. So if we take, for example, the National Rifle Association. This is an organized group that's going to spend money to run ads to try to get people elected who are going to, in their minds, protect the rights of gun owners. They might meet with members of Congress and try to convince them to support a particular bill or oppose a particular bill. The difference here is that these groups are not trying to get their members elected to government positions. They're trying to support and influence the people who are being elected. So we shared some examples there. NRA, the AARP, Greenpeace, for example, all sort of centered on one specific issue or group of issues. One of the biggest ways that interest groups influence the political process is through money. Interest groups can set up something called a Political Action Committee, and the acronym is just PAC. So if you hear on the news PACs, it stands for Political Action Committee. And these are groups inside of the interest group that raise money to give to candidates who share their views. So they're going to donate to the candidate's campaign. They might purchase advertising, airtime on the television or the radio. But that's a very, very important way that interest groups can influence the political process. Another important job of interest groups is what's called lobbying. They will lobby lawmakers and other government officials to try to influence them. So that simply means they're going to meet with them. They're going to try to convince them that they should support or oppose a certain bill. And a lot of times they conduct research to go along with that. So, A group like Greenpeace, for example, it's an environmental group, might do a lot of environmental research on, say, global warming. Then they will try to set up meetings with lawmakers and share that information that they've discovered in order to get them to vote in favor of a potential law or to maybe oppose a potential law. So interest groups are not trying to get their members elected, but they still play an important role in influencing the political process. You can go back and re-watch this video if you need to listen to parts again, or to pause it and make sure you've got the notes down. But make sure you either have your notes printed and ready to be checked at the beginning of class, or that you have them at least on your computer and ready to be checked.